How do you make a president disappear while the entire world watches? You orchestrate the most elaborate deception in modern military history. On a moonless February morning, Nicolás Maduro ceased to exist as a free man. The lights flickered across Caracas at precisely 2:17 a.m. By 5:43 a.m., the presidential compound stood empty. No declaration, no negotiation, just silence. The kind that makes intelligence agencies whisper, "How did they do it?" This is the declassified story of how Delta Force, backed by 150 aircraft and 8 warships, executed what military historians are calling the most sophisticated extraction operation since Bin Laden. But unlike Abbottabad, this target was protected by Russian S-300 missile systems, Chinese radar networks, and Iranian drones. Yet, they failed. And here's why.
Part 2. The Invisible Preparation. Months before that February night, the board was being set. The USS Harry S. Truman carrier strike group appeared off Venezuela's coast. Media screamed invasion. Maduro gave defiant speeches. The world watched the Caribbean fill with American steel. They were watching the wrong game. While destroyers performed exercises in international waters, CIA operatives were playing differently. Deep inside Maduro's inner circle, assets were being activated. People whose names will never appear in documents. Individuals planted years earlier, living double lives, waiting for one encrypted message. The naval presence wasn't preparation. It was distraction. Every satellite pointed at those carrier groups. Every intelligence service analyzed their movements. Russian advisors calculated response times. Nobody was looking at the ground. Inside Fort Bragg, Delta Force operators walked through a perfect replica of Maduro's safe house. Every door, every corner, every sightline. They rehearsed the assault 127 times. They could navigate it blindfolded, in darkness, under simulated firefight. But a replica means nothing with timing. The operation required a specific window. Maduro stationary, guards rotated at shift change, weather providing cloud cover, and most critically, the moment when Venezuelan air defenses would be overwhelmed before responding. That window would only exist for 17 minutes.
February 14th, 2025, Valentine's Day. Caracas was celebrating. Street parties, fireworks, perfect acoustic cover for what was coming. At 2 a.m., 4 F-35A Lightning II stealth fighters slipped across the maritime border, flying at 35,000 feet. Venezuelan radar saw nothing. Chinese systems detected nothing. Russian advisors operating S-300 batteries stared at empty screens. The F-35s weren't there to bomb, they were there to blind. Each aircraft carried specialized electronic warfare equipment. At 2:09 a.m., they activated coordinated jamming that turned Venezuela's air defense network into static. Radar operators suddenly saw screens filled with phantom targets. Hundreds of aircraft signatures appeared simultaneously. Electromagnetic chaos. Behind this digital curtain, the real assault began. 6 MH-60M Blackhawks and 4 MH-47G Chinooks lifted off from the USS Baton, flying nap of the earth, skimming rooftops at 120 knots. Their modified rotors reduced acoustic signatures. In carnival noise and fireworks, they sounded like distant thunder. But Venezuela's defenses weren't completely paralyzed. At 2:14 a.m., an S-300 battery at La Carlota Air Base achieved partial lock. The missile launched. It never arrived. An F-35 shadowing that battery had already fired an anti-radiation missile. The S-300 launcher exploded 3 seconds before it could guide its payload. The incoming missile went ballistic, detonating harmlessly over Avila Mountain. Ground witnesses reported sound they'd never heard, rolling thunder from everywhere and nowhere. It was 150 aircraft creating a sonic blanket over the city, all coordinating in a massive aerial symphony designed for one purpose: make it impossible to identify which sounds mattered.
Part 4. 17 minutes. Fort Tiuna, Venezuela's largest military installation, home to Presidential Guard, command bunkers, and somewhere within its maze, Nicolás Maduro. Delta Force had exactly 17 minutes from touchdown to wheels up. Any longer, and Venezuelan quick reaction forces would converge. Any longer, and the operation would collapse into a firefight. The lead Black Hawk touched down at 2:23 a.m. in a courtyard that wasn't on any map, but the CIA asset had provided more than blueprints, access. A gate that should have been locked stood open. A patrol that should have been present had been diverted by fake security alert. 12 operators fast roped down. No words, hand signals only. They'd done this 127 times in training. This was attempt 128. Building 7, 3rd floor, Eastern Wing. The CIA asset had provided the room number 8 hours earlier. Intelligence indicated Maduro and his wife with 4 bodyguards inside. The assault team stacked outside. Breacher placed the charge. 3 seconds. 2, 1. The explosion was precisely calibrated, loud enough to disorient, shaped to blow the door inward without collapsing walls. Flashbangs followed, then smoke. The bodyguards had milliseconds to react. They never got the chance. Suppressed weapons put them down before hands reached sidearms. Non-lethal in 3 cases. The 4th guard went for a panic button. 2 rounds to the shoulder. Over in 11 seconds. Maduro was sitting on his bed, hands visible, shock painted across his face. Celia Flores started to scream. A Spanish-speaking operator calmly explained, "You are under arrest by authority of the United States government for narco-terrorism. You will not be harmed if you comply." Flexicuffs, hoods, carried down 3 flights. The entire building extraction took 9 minutes. Outside, helicopter rotors had never stopped. The moment Maduro was secured, the call went out. Jackpot, package secure. At 2:32 a.m., the Black Hawks lifted off. The entire ground operation, insertion to extraction, had taken 14 minutes. But they weren't safe yet.
Part 5. The Gauntlet. Getting into Caracas was easy. Getting out meant flying through the most dangerous airspace in South America. Venezuelan air defenses were chaotic but not destroyed. Mobile book systems remained operational. Portable manpads were in hundreds of soldiers' hands. One lucky shot was all it would take. The helicopters flew different routes, splitting up to divide response. The lead bird carrying Maduro flew due north toward the coast. Behind them, the city erupted. La Carlota scrambled what remained of its fighter fleet. 3 Su-30 Mk2 flankers and 2 aging F-16As. The F-16s never left the runway, their avionics compromised by CIA malware uploaded weeks earlier. The Su-30s got airborne. They were met by 4 F-35s that had been waiting. The engagement lasted 90 seconds. Venezuelan pilots are well trained. The Su-30 is formidable. But stealth versus Soviet-era radar? No contest. 2 flankers were splashed by missiles they never saw coming. The 3rd pilot broke off and returned to base. The Black Hawks crossed into international waters at 3:07 a.m. Waiting was the USS Baton, deck cleared for emergency landing. Maduro and his wife were transferred immediately to secure holding. By 3:30 a.m., corpsmen were treating minor injuries. Maduro had a bruised shoulder from being carried. Celia Flores was in shock, but physically unharmed. By 6 a.m., the sun rose over Caracas. The presidential compound remained sealed by confused military units. Government officials tried to reach Maduro. Phone calls went unanswered. By 8 a.m., rumors spread through the capital. By noon, the Venezuelan government issued a statement claiming an attempted kidnapping had been thwarted. They were lying, and everyone knew it.
This operation couldn't have happened 10 years earlier. The technology simply didn't exist. Understanding why reveals how modern warfare has evolved. The F-35 wasn't chosen because it's newest. It was chosen because it's the only aircraft that could survive Venezuelan airspace. Those Russian S-300 systems aren't obsolete relics. The S-300 V4 variant is one of the most capable air defense systems on the planet. Traditional fighters emit radar signatures the size of a barn door. An F-16 can be detected at ranges exceeding 150 kilometers. The S-300 can engage targets at 120 kilometers. An F-16 would be shot down before delivering weapons. The F-35's radar cross-section is roughly the size of a golf ball on radar. S-300 systems can theoretically detect it, but not at ranges where they can achieve weapons quality track. By the time Venezuelan operators got solid returns, F-35s were already inside the envelope, delivering electronic warfare effects. But stealth alone isn't enough. The F-35's real advantage is sensor fusion. Each aircraft acts as a node in a networked battle space. What one jet sees, all jets see. Their radar, infrared sensors, and electronic warfare systems create real-time pictures shared across the force. When that S-300 battery went active, every American asset knew instantly. The F-35 closest to the threat already had a firing solution. The missile was in the air 4 seconds after the battery went live. This is networked warfare in practice. Venezuelan defenders fought individually. American forces fought as a synchronized organism.
If you did, please remember that I create everything on this channel by myself.
And I can only keep doing this thanks to your likes and comments.
I'm Mustismy. See ya until the next video. As always, take care.